We are recording. Hello, everyone. This is Amy Pearson, and this is the coaching sampler. And this has been a 6-week series demonstrating some of the coaching tools that I use in my own coaching practice and some of the coaching tools that I teach coaches in my in coach training, the coach training that I work for. For those of you who don't know me, I am over at livebrazen.com. Most of you do know me. There are some of you who are watching the recording. I'm going to be over at beingamytheblog.com. That'll be probably starting in January. But I am a life coach. I am a writer. I'm writing a memoir called Forgiving Amy. And I work with women around confidence, courage, and taking action in honor of their one wild and precious life. And I'm also a mom. I have 3 kiddos, and I'm a dog mom. I have a dog and 2 cats and a husband, and I live in Ashland, Oregon. And at one point, I had a very busy coaching practice, and what happened was I in my coaching, I work with people around this idea of being addicted to approval. And so that was really where I got my start and where I found my quote unquote niche. And I really found that sort of this obsession with getting people to approve of me and a fear of people rejecting me really was what was behind a lot of my misery in my own life. And so I created a lot of content and coursework around that. In fact, I'm going to be launching a course around that in January, so keep your eye out. Very excited. But where was I going with that? Oh gosh, I totally lost my train of thought. Anyway, so now I've also use those principles when I work with entrepreneurs, because what I found is that a lot of times with entrepreneurs, a lot of reasons why we get stuck in sort of overwhelm and fear and just frozen is that we have a lot of the same sort of fears around needing people to approve of us and not wanting people to reject us. And that looks different depending on the person. So I really enjoy working with entrepreneurs as well as women. So what we've been doing over the past 6 weeks is we've been working with different tools each week. And this is our final demo. And I wanted to do a demo on dream analysis because selfishly, I love it and I think it's a lot of fun, and I haven't used it in a while, but I haven't had any volunteers. So what I have chosen to do instead is demonstrate some other tools that I really don't need a volunteer for, and that are really, really just foundational and super helpful for anyone. And these are tools that I teach as a coach, mentor, and trainer. So I decided to do that. But before I do that, I just wanted to let you know that this series is really about helping women to kind of get a sense of what coaching is and some of the tools to receive coaching through osmosis when you observe other people being coached, to receive some free coaching, if you're one of the volunteers, and really to show you the power of being in a community of other high vibration women. And so this is really for you if you have felt like you've needed to add a few more tools to help you sort of get unstuck, feel better, get into forward momentum in terms of what it is that you would like to create, get more clarity about what you would like to create. And the tool that we're going to be using today is going to help with that. And it's really for you if you're a coach and you're interested in learning some tools or kind of seeing me demonstrate the tools, since I have 10 years of experience and I am a trainer. And so by the end of the series, and really by the end of this class, I really hope that you leave with something new that you can use to help yourself. And these are tools that I really believe that you can take, and you can, some of the tools I demonstrated actually do require the help of a coach. But then some of them you can take and you can just incorporate right away into your life. So today's tool is called the Body Compass, and I'm going to be combining that with another tool called the 3Bs. And this is a wonderful tool. Last week we talked about the change cycle. This is a model created by my mentor, Martha Beck. If you're not familiar with it, then you can read Finding Your Own North Star by Martha Beck. Is a wonderful book that really changed my life. I'm writing it in the chat box. Finding Your Own North Star. And so the change cycle is a model that she describes there. But what it says is that there are 4 squares, and we move through them throughout our lives and in different areas of our life. So we can be in one square in say, our personal relationships, in another square in our career. And what happens is the models kind of impact us in different ways. So square 1 is really about starting from square 1, you know, that expression. It's really about what circumstances, it could be a catastrophic event, or it could be a major change that you've made that has been a long time coming, and it sent you into square 1 where you kind of don't know what the heck is going on, and you have to do a lot. You have to deal with a lot of big emotions, a lot of it kind of around grief, and the process of letting go, because you really are starting something new and you're really in new territory. And then square 2 is where you are starting to find yourself emerging out of square 1 and feeling more optimistic, more hopeful, more excited about possibility. You're starting to create a plan. You're starting to imagine different scenarios, thinking about how you want this new life to look, or this new circumstance to look. And so you start to form that in your mind. And then square 3 is really about taking action. It's about, okay, now that I've come up with this plan that I've imagined in my life, what do I need to do? And so it's really an important square for courage and confidence and being able to get into action. And it's one of my favorite squares that I coach my women clients around. And then square 4 is Martha calls it the promised land. It's really where you've made it, you're established, you're comfortable, and you're kind of just enjoying the fruits of your labor. So, and then inevitably something will happen to send you back into square 1. And I kind of think of it as like each time you re-enter the square, hopefully if you have the right tools and you've had the right support and you're kind of working on yourself, then each time you re-enter the square in the cycle, it becomes a virtuous cycle, because you're never starting over. You're starting from the experience of the previous square. You've learned from the past, and you're now starting again with that new knowledge and that new experience, and you're going to be even better than before. Unfortunately, a lot of us don't understand how to navigate the change cycle in a empowering, life-affirming way. And so these are the kinds of people who, you know, you see, or maybe it's a pattern, you see the same patterns emerging over and over again. And there's no judgment in that. I honestly have to say that for me, like I've dealt with some behavioral patterns that they just keep coming back and back, and I just keep repeating them just in new scenarios until I've finally been able to identify and to work through it. But, you know, an example of that might be someone who continuously gets divorced and then gets remarried, and then kind of marries another version of the same person, and then gets divorced and remarried again. So that's someone who hasn't learned how to navigate the change cycle in a positive way. And so that's really where the benefit of having a life coach comes in, is to help you to navigate those squares in a way that helps you to continue to learn and grow and make positive change in your life. Which kind of leads me to a couple announcements before I actually demonstrate the Body Compass and 3Bs. One is that I'm going to be teaching a free class next week. So it's going to be this time, same place, And I'm going to be announcing that shortly in various places and marketing that. But this is going to be a free class. It's not going to be the same. It's not going to be like a demo. It's actually going to be me teaching. So keep your eye out for that. I'm pretty excited. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be around some of the most common stories we tell ourselves and beliefs that we have that keep us in negative cycles. And so there's a free class next week. And then the other thing is I have a group that I'm putting together starting November 7th, and it will be a group coaching environment. So there are a couple advantages to that. One, it's not as expensive as one-on-one coaching. Two, it's amazing. It's the power of the group, right? It's being surrounded by high vibration people and having a mentor, but also having those high vibration people supporting you and being examples of what is possible. I will tell you that, some of my hugest breakthroughs in my own life came after seeing a colleague, someone I considered a colleague, taking action and having their own successes, and that really showing me what is possible. So that's one of the reasons why I think group work is so powerful. And the other reason is that we're going to be just hanging out, doing some of the same kinds of things that we've been doing in this demo series. There's going to be a lot of pep talks. There's going to be me getting to know you and what you're working on. There's going to be a lot of resources that I share from other sources that, for example, some of my courses that I teach, some of the mentors I work with. So it's going to be a really fabulous group, and it's limited to 20 people. And so if that's of interest, please feel free to send me an email so that we can have a chat to see if you are a fit. All right. And that's going to be $200 a month. So I'm asking for a 3-month commitment. Okay. So enough of that. Pearson.amy@gmail.com is where you can email me about that. I'm putting it in the chat. All right. So today we're going to do the body compass first. Now, I talked about the change cycle. The reason I wanted to share the change cycle again, I also talked about it last week, is that what I have found when I've been working with women, and if you're just joining us, I'm not going to be demoing dream analysis because I don't have any volunteers. So I'm going to be demoing a tool that I don't require volunteers for. So I'm just going to do some teaching today, but it's a tool that's really foundational that you can take with you and use right away. So anyway, in my work with women, I have really found that a lot of women have really struggled kind of connecting with what it is that they actually want. And so it's sort of like, well, how do I create a goal, or how do I start dreaming and scheming, which is really the work of Square Two, if I don't really know what I want? A lot of times they don't know what they want because they've spent so much time doing things for other people, or doing things because they think it's what they should be doing, doing things, in my case, really doing things because I thought that would be a way to get a lot of approval from other people, be impressive to other people, have people see me in a positive way. But what happens is you create this life that really may look really great on the outside, but feels really hollow and unfulfilling on the inside. And so what the process of coming out of that and really understanding kind of connecting with yourself and being able to listen to yourself and really know yourself has to do with being able to listen to the wisdom of yourself. And in our culture, we're taught that we can think our way out of anything, right? Like we problem solve, we think, we use our heads, we analyze, we ruminate, we compare pros and cons. All of that is happening in the mind. We create to-do lists. There's cost benefit analysis. There's all these different ways that in our minds we try to make choices. And this is a really powerful tool for people who really have difficulty making choices or feel torn or stuck a lot. And so we're sort of socialized that that's kind of how you approach your problems, is to think about it in some way, to analyze it. And in our culture, we really aren't taught to connect with our body. We don't understand that our body actually has wisdom as well. We pretty much learn to ignore our body. One way that we learn to ignore our body is that we're taught, a lot of times as children, right away, we're taught that emotions can be bad, right? As children, we have big emotions, right? I have three myself, and my 9-year-old in particular has very big emotions, and she emotes, right? She cries and she rages, and she has these really big emotions. And so, and same with my other kids, very emotional. And so it's really easy to see how children are taught that certain emotions are wrong, right? Don't cry, don't scream, don't, it's like those types of things. Or as women, we are taught that anger is wrong, right? Like anger is either hitting, screaming, violent, or it's passive aggressive. And so we're taught that anger is wrong. So what we don't learn is that emotions carry with them messages and wisdom. And so, like, sadness is an example, right? And we experience a lot of that grieving and sadness in square one because we're leaving a life that we had, that we knew, into something different. And so there's a lot of sadness there. Now sadness teaches us how to let go. It's when you're sad, it's helping you identify where you have to let go. Anger is one that can teach us a lot of things. It can teach us where we're not protecting our own boundaries. It can teach us what our values are. It can teach us, it can give us direction in terms of maybe where our gifts lie, where we might need to speak up because no one else is speaking up. There's all kinds of ways that you can channel anger into positive things without it being violent or passive aggressive. And so, but as children, a lot of us get the message that there's good emotions like happiness, right? We all love happy children, and bad emotions. And so then as adults, we learn to disconnect from our emotions. We learn to disassociate. We learn not to feel our feelings in our body. And emotions, as we saw in, I think it was class 2 when we talked about the reality matrix, our emotions are actually feelings that resonate inside our body, right? They have real feelings. And so the way that so what I'm trying to say is that emotions carry with them information, and it's different kind of information that you would get from your brain. And so what we want to be able to do is we want to be able to connect with our emotions, because a lot of times, well, 100% of the time, the wisdom that we are able to tap into through our body is sort of like our navigational system. I think that's a really good metaphor for it. And it's telling us how to get to where we want to go. And then the logical mind can be a really fantastic assistant, right? It can help us by doing the analysis and planning the strategy. But often we are just relying solely on our logical mind, and it's just kind of like we're spinning and spinning and spinning because we're not accessing the wisdom of the body. And the body is what tells us, it's like the navigation, it's our Navi. And so the body compass is a very simple tool that you can start to use if you are one of those who has disassociated from your body. So, hi, Estelle. Yeah, we're just talking about the body compass. So the body compass is this tool to help us tap into our inner navigational system. And for those of us who have been conditioned and socialized that to disassociate from our body, this is a wonderful tool to start sort of claiming that relationship and tapping back into that wisdom that is there for us. And when you tap into that wisdom, you start to learn things about yourself. You start to learn things about what you want, what's right for you, how you want to organize your day, what your values are. It can be as simple as how you want to, like what you want to eat or drink, or what movie you want to see, versus major life changes. Okay. And so for those of you who really struggle with decisions or being torn, this is a really great resource. So what I've done for you, Estelle, and for others who are joining now, is because I didn't get any volunteers for this, for the dream analysis, I decided to teach something that everybody can sort of use right away and doesn't require a volunteer. But thank you for your, and we can always do some dream analysis at a different point, because I was being selfish and I was like, I really want to play with a dream analysis. Yeah, so thank you for volunteering. All right, so so the body compass is very simple. And I kind of like to think of when I was a kid, I played that game, you're getting warmer, you're getting colder. It's like when you're trying to find something, someone's hiding something from you and they say, you're getting warmer, you're getting colder. That's sort of what I think of tapping into the wisdom of the body is. It's like, it's a game of you're getting warmer and you're getting colder. When you're getting warmer, that's you pointing in the right direction towards your right life. When you're getting colder, that means you're you're going the wrong way. So it's a navigational system. It literally is. And what I want you to do is kind of imagine the body compass as a scale, right? And this is -10 on the body compass, and this is +10 on the body compass, and this is neutral. My mouth is neutral. So it's a scale, and this is the negative side of the body compass, and this is the positive side of the body compass. I don't know if I'm a mirror and this is not making sense, but anyway, so it's a scale. And the way that you're going to start to calibrate this scale, it's not going to be perfect right away, especially if you're just using this, is I'm going to have you like do some recall of some different times in your life that felt positive on the body compass and negative on the body compass. So the first one is we're going to calibrate the scale by having you close your eyes, take a couple deep breaths, and bring to your mind something that happened in your life that was really challenging and difficult for you and brings up a lot of negative emotion. And apologies in advance for making you go here, but this is going to help you to get a felt sense of what negative on the body compass is like. So take a second and think of something that was really difficult and challenging for you in your life, and that brought up a lot of, and that was a really painful time, basically. And then hopefully you have it. And I want you to just kind of allow yourself, to the extent that you can and to the extent that you're willing, just allow yourself to be there in that moment again. And as you're in this moment, this difficult, challenging, painful time, I want you to do a scan of your body starting at your feet. And I want you to notice anything in your body. So just starting at your feet and then just all the way up to the top of your head, just be super curious and just notice if you, what you're feeling in your body as you're allowing yourself to go back to that difficult, painful time. I'm doing it myself, and so I'm definitely noticing, gosh, a lot of sadness, and it's in my chest and my throat, and it feels like maybe I need to cry later today. But yeah, I feel it's like right there, and it feels heavy. Yeah, it feels very heavy. And so if you're willing to go ahead and post in the chat what you noticed when you were allowing yourself to go back to that difficult and painful time? Did you find that it was in your chest and throat? Was it in your stomach? Was it in your hands or your legs? Did you notice any kind of feeling sensation? Is anybody willing to share? You can unmute yourself, or you can even just post in the chat. I just finished playing tennis, so that's why I'm looking so sporty. Yeah, as said, tight, fear, feeling small. Yeah, I'm just kind of, ugh. So anyway, let's just shake it out or breathe it out. Thank you for sharing that one, S. Anybody else, if you'd like to share, please feel free to use the chat. And in the meantime, we're gonna switch gears now. Oh, by the way, now, before we switch gears, that was your negative, okay? We're calibrating the scale. So whatever you were noticing there, for me, it was like a very heavy, feeling, kind of a tight, heavy feeling in my chest and my throat. And so that is going to be very close to a -10 on my body compass, because I'm used to using body compass, and I kind of have it calibrated enough to know that that's pretty high on the negative side. So that's my negative. That's the sensation in my body when my body is telling me you're getting colder, okay? So that's something for me to keep in mind as I'm playing the game of hot, warmer, and colder, trying to find what feels like the right direction for me and what feels right for me. All right, so now I'm going to have you go into your mind again, and this time you're going to bring to your memory something that was very joyful for you, some kind of peak experience in your life, and allow yourself, gosh, I'm starting to feel it already. Allow yourself to tap into that and just let it get really big. And you can close your eyes, and you can just same thing, starting at your feet. Gosh, yeah, just kind of let that come in and see what you notice on your body compass. Wow, like my body compass is like super extreme today. I'm like, whoa, it's like super like, okay, there was the negative, and then now I'm like I'm on the like opposite +10 side, like experiencing those things so strongly. So for me, gosh, right away, like it's interesting. It's also in my chest, and it's warmer, lighter, kind of like, oh, I think it's the word I don't know, like it's a bubbling over feeling. I don't know what the word is for that. Ebullient. Anyway, but I feel this kind of, it's almost like overwhelming to the point of happy crying. So it's funny because the -10 for me was like sad crying, and the +10 is happy crying. And so that's what I'm noticing in my own body compass. And I would say that's definitely pretty high on the scale. So that was probably a +10. So what are you noticing? I'd love to hear from a couple of you. Like, post on the chat for me if you notice. And I mean, it doesn't have to be that extreme. I'm just like, I don't know why, like I'm feeling my feelings really strongly right now, but yeah, just be like sort of curious and see what you notice in your own body in terms of being on that positive side. Notice if you noticed any sensations, like where was it and could you describe the sensation? And then post to the chat for me. Enlightenment, yes. Yes. Anybody else? It's so funny, Estelle, that you say that, because when you're on, I've done this tool a lot. Effervescent, beautiful. That's it. Mine is light and happy and waves of contentment. I love it. Thank you for that. I couldn't find the word. Yes, it's interesting how 100% of the time when I do this tool with people, And on myself, when you're in the positive side, you know, everybody is different. Like everybody feels it different. Everybody notices it in different places. But 100% of the time, universally, when people are on their positive end of the body compass, there's a feeling of lightness. So S, you said light. Estelle, you said enlightenment. And then when you're on that opposite side, the negative side, this heavy, tight, right? So it's like contraction versus expansion, and that feeling. And there's a reason why I heard this somewhere. It might have been from Martha Beck, where she says there's a reason why the word light, when you feel light, that's part of the word enlightenment, because that is a clue that you are heading in the right direction. This feeling of lightness, this feeling of expansion. Now, sometimes it's a very extreme. Often we remember those extreme times, right? But it becomes more of a challenge when we're asked to calibrate to, you know, +3 or -2 or +8. It's not an exact science either, so don't get hung up on that. But it's those more subtle things, right, where we're not really taught, and we haven't really practiced checking in the subtleties, right? Those subtle things, like what do I want to do right now? Like who do I want to associate with? How does that person make me feel on my body compass? What does this food versus this food show on my body compass? When I'm in this one environment versus this other environment, how does that feel on my body compass? And so that is where this becomes a little trickier for a lot of us, because we are used to being like, we are tapping in a peak experience, or one of the devastating experiences in our lives. But it becomes more important when we're talking about the other numbers on the scale. So Sandra, you just joined us. We're talking about a tool called the Body Compass, and how we can tap into our body to access wisdom that our mind can't give us. And this will help us when we're looking at making major decisions, getting to know ourselves and what is right for us, and being able to navigate our lives in a way that really fits us. And it's really, really powerful for people who have found that they feel very disconnected to themselves, or they feel like they're constantly torn or stuck. And some people even say they don't know themselves. So this is a really powerful tool for that. And so one way that you can start to calibrate and start to understand and identify some of those moments that are kind of not as extreme on the body compass is to start practicing it. First, it's the awareness that the body does carry wisdom and that we should be listening to it. And knowing that the body is actually our navigational system. So once you accept that and you have that awareness, which so many of us don't, then it becomes a practice, and it becomes about listening in to our body. Now, all of us, most of us, I imagine, have a to-do list, okay? So here's my little planner, and I have my to-do list, right? Da-da-da. And so one way that you can practice the body compass is you can actually go into your to-do list, and you can tap into your body, and you can see what that task, how it shows up on your body compass. Now, this is something maybe we could try right now. So go ahead and write down a few things, or look at your to-do list, and just check in with your body, knowing that the body compass is a scale, it's a continuum, there's negative and there's a positive, and see if you can attach an actual number to the task. Is that task completely neutral to you, a 0? Or is that task like a +1? Or is that task a -8? See kind of where these tasks are on your body compass. And I'm going to do it too. So take a few tasks and see if you can assign it a number. And then I think it would be really fun to report back. Okay. I'm doing the body, I'm assigning numbers to my to-do list. Ooh. Ugh. Okay, I don't know what that one means. Oh, post office. Oh, okay. It's interesting because I haven't like taken the time to do this in a while. And I'm like actually surprised. I'm like, oh yeah, that's negative, that's positive. And then some of them I'm like, what does this mean? Why did I write the name Michelle down on my to-do list? I can't remember. Michelle, if you're out there, I'm sorry. I'm forgetting. I'm forgetting what I'm supposed to be doing with you. Oh my gosh. So at that one I can't assign until I remember. I've been getting up so early, you guys, to work on my writing. I'm getting up at 4:30 a.m. And I think as I get later in the week, it's like it starts to get the sleep depro, like it starts to get cumulative. So I'm like seriously like curious about this Michelle person. All right. Did anyone have any luck with this? Did you assign some, were you able to assign some numbers? How about a few posts to the chat box? Who had a positive on some of their to-dos? Or a negative? This is going to be important because we're going to work on this. I will put mine in. I'll put a few of mine in. Type yours in while I'm doing this, please. Oh, yeah. Okay, so there are a few examples here. Oh, I had another one. I don't know where it went. Okay, so I have a free class. I mentioned it at the top of the call, and it's next week, and I need to prepare for that. So that one is oh, thank you, Estelle. Oh, S, okay, thank you. Was a +3. Okay, good. Thank you for sharing, those of you who were able to share. Okay, ooh, -4, Estelle. Okay, so it's not, I'm just teasing because it's totally fine if you have a negative. In fact, it's very common, right? So I have my blog post that I was gonna write today is a +7. I really enjoy writing my blog posts. Bills, -5. Ugh. Present, I'm gonna go to this one store in downtown Ashland that I really like with my kid, and we're gonna pick out a birthday present for her friend. That was a positive. And the free class that I'm gonna be working on next week, that's a positive. So Estelle has an IG post that's a -4, and then S says she had something that was a +3. So I remember many years ago, I've been doing this for 10 years, and this left such a big impression on me. It was probably in maybe the first year that I became a coach. I remember Martha Beck teaching this tool, and she said that there was nothing that she does in her day that is negative on her body compass. And I was like, what? I don't even believe that. I was like super skeptical. And so you can start to see that this is very eye-opening. Like if you're looking at your list and everything on your list is a negative, then that's a pretty strong indication that you are getting colder, you know? So like, and then if you have everything is positive on your list, you are getting warmer. So it's pretty simple in that way. But now you're probably going, well, wait a minute. I mean, there are things that just need to get done, right? Like there are things like taxes and cleaning the litter box, right, that we need to do. And so one of the keys to feeling happier and having more energy and understanding and connecting with yourself is first identifying what is on your body compass. And you can start to play with this now, because you can start to use it for, things that may seem totally mundane, like, do I want to go see this movie versus that movie? Do I want to turn right or turn left? Do I want to eat this or that? Do I want to call this person or that person? And it's funny because I'm working with a few new clients, and one of my clients is learning this tool for the first time. And I was like, hey, just start out with some simple things. And, she texted me and she was like, she's just making like huge, like major changes in her life. Like she did not start out small, but that's fine. That's good for her. So you can start out, but you can start out very small. And I think that is a really fabulous way to start to get used to this tool, is to allow yourself to kind of start small and just see, what is this? Do I want to take a shower right now? Or do I want to go for a jog? And then check in. Now, what did Martha mean when she said, everything is a positive on my body compass? Yeah, I was skeptical. I didn't believe it. But now I understand how she does it. And I'm going to share that secret with you. And that secret is called the 3 B's. And what the 3 B's are there ways to work with your body compass and get things to be positive on your body compass. And the way that you do this is you consider each of these B's, okay? So the 3 B's. Now, the first B in the B's is to bag it. So now, if you've got something that is negative on your body compass, you can choose to bag it. This is such an important one for us because so many of us take on way too much, and we say yes when we really should be saying no. And we get ourselves in all kinds of situations where we are overwhelmed, overworked, and we are just too busy. And often we're saying yes to things that for the total wrong reason, because we want it to be useful. We want people to like us. We don't want to disappoint or let anybody down. Some of you know that I stopped drinking. I think it's been 7 years. I got to go and make sure, but I think it's either 6 or 7 years. And one of the things that I used to use alcohol for was to feel comfortable in situations I didn't want to be in. I am an introverted person. I don't love to socialize. But when I did socialize, I'd use alcohol to feel more comfortable. And so after the alcohol went away, I had to learn how to say no to things. Often I would say yes to social functions because my friends wanted me to go, or I didn't want to let someone down. People expected me to be there. And so I had to be like very honest with myself and very courageous and say no to more. So saying no to, just looking at your list and going, what am I taking on? What has been a pattern in my life of taking on things for the wrong reasons? And can I start to say no? One of my clients recently, this is the same client, she decided to step down in a very, very big role on a volunteer board. And so that was a big deal for her because she really had to step up and make a very big choice, and it required a lot of courage for her to do that. So she bagged this position. She stepped down from a position. So bagging it can be a very big deal, or it could be just something small that you're choosing to do when you really don't have to. Let's see, is there anything on here I can bag? So I have several things on my list that are negative on my body compass, but what I've determined, like one of the things as an example is that I'm going away with my husband tomorrow and Friday. We're going to like go to the Redwood Forest and have some time together. And my husband's mom is going to babysit. But in order for her to babysit, I need to write a bunch of instructions for her about like what the kids' activities are and how to give medicine to the dog and all of this stuff. And those instructions, writing the instructions, is negative on my body compass. It's a -2. So, but the thing is, I choose to not bag it, right? I choose to write those instructions, even though they're negative on my body compass, because it's important to me that my kids are well taken care of and my dog doesn't have seizures. So I'm choosing not to bag that item. And so you now start to realize that there are things on your list that are negative, but that you do choose to take them on. And that's important because we don't want to feel like we're powerless. We want to understand that everything that we do is a choice. No one's forcing us. No one's holding a gun to our head. Everything is a choice, and we are choosing what we decide to do with our lives and what we decide to do with our days. So if there are items that are still on your list that you haven't bagged because you choose to take them on, then you have to start considering the next B's. So the second B is called barter it. Now, you guys know what bartering is. It's like, okay, can I do this if you do that, right? And so it could be that you just literally barter something, okay, with someone else. So an example of that is that one of my big time negatives on my body compass is driving my kids around to their activities after school. And even though we're in Ashland now and things aren't as far and there isn't as much traffic, it's still like negative on my body compass. So one way that I have decided to work with that is that I've bartered. So basically I've found other parents and we're carpooling. So that has been a lot easier on me, is to get other parents involved and doing some carpooling. So that's kind of a barter one, where you're incorporating someone else and you're figuring out ways to work with somebody else to make this item more positive on your body compass. So now, for example, on Mondays, I only drive my child to her marimba group. I don't have to go pick her up as well because the other mom will drop her off. And that's totally great because I get to take her kid to school, to the class, and then she takes my kid back. And so it's a barter arrangement. So there are different ways that you can work with that in your own life to see if there's someone else. So for example, my other client, this is the same client, she asked her dad to come pick her child up from this activity that her child wanted to do because it was kind of like there was a schedule conflict and she couldn't do it. And so she decided to barter by asking her dad. Now that's not exactly, well, you could consider it a barter because her dad really loved to have that one-on-one time with her child. But for her, it did take courage for her to do that because she's not used to asking for help. She's not used to receiving. So this is an area of her life that the B's have really challenged her to work through, learning how to ask for more things and knowing that it's okay and that you don't have to take everything on yourself. So the next B, if you're like, I can't figure out a way to barter this or get help or do some trade, is to better it. Okay, so if you have something else that's negative on your body compass, then you get to be super creative. If you do choose to continue to take that on, you get to be super creative and figure out a way for that task to be better. And a lot of times, this is really how Martha kept everything positive on her body compass. Clearly, she doesn't have cats because I have not figured out a way. No, one way I deal with the litter box is I have my kids do it. So, but it's like, anyway, I won't spend too much time on that. But anyway, so you can better things and you get to be really creative about that. So sometimes bettering a task is about what's happening in your mind, the story you're telling yourself that's creating stress around this task. And so if that's you, then you get to go and you get to review the demos from the series and use the coaching tools on yourself to get in a better energy, get in a better vibration about what it is that you're deciding to choose to take on. And so sometimes it's self-coaching that will help to better things. Sometimes it's going and getting a latte while you're at the grocery store. It can be something as really simple as like, if I get this done, I'm going to give myself the gift of getting a massage later today. Or if I get this done, I'm going to take a nap, right? Or I'm going to listen to some music while I do this. Or I'm going to listen to this podcast. One thing that I do to better just about everything that requires me to just, like, for example, cooking dinner, I better it. It's funny, when I drank, I used to drink wine while I cooked dinner, and that was how I bettered like the task of cooking dinner and cleaning up. But now, 7 years later, I don't drink wine anymore. So what I do to better the task of cooking, tea really doesn't do it. I mean, I love the tea, but it's not like bettering it in a really major way for me. But I do, make myself some tea. And then the other thing I do when I'm cooking is I listen to Audible. I love to listen to books. And so I better my cooking in the kitchen by listening to Audible, because everybody else is in different rooms at this house. And so they're not in the kitchen with me. So I can listen to my book without interruption and enjoy the book while I'm doing the cooking. And sometimes I enjoy cooking, but a lot of times it's just like, I feel like I have to do it. Or I choose to do it. So yeah, so I love to listen to Audible. I do that while I'm driving kids around. I often listen to Audible while I'm folding laundry. So that's a really helpful way for me to better things. So just trying to see if there's anything else here that I can use as an example. So as I'm talking, hopefully you have started, this has gotten your wheels turning in terms of how you can better things in your own list of things to do. Now, while you're learning these, while you're bringing in the 3 Bs, what's happening is it is helping you to start to create a better life for yourself. It's like, it seems so small and trivial, these Bs, but really what it's doing is it's helping you to slowly but surely listen to your body, which is your navigational system, and then work with whatever it is that you're deciding to do to have a better life, which leads to more energy, which leads to more happiness, which leads to more creativity, which leads to more clarity. So if you're saying yes to too much, you need to start bagging things. If you are not asking for help, or you're not, if you're not utilizing community, you can start bartering things. If you're not giving yourself permission to to incorporate enough self-care and fun and joy and play in your life, then and you're not doing your own self-coaching, or you're not working with a coach and you're not getting support, then you need to start bettering. And you can do, and it's really up to you in terms of how you want to approach that stuff. So hopefully this is making sense, and hopefully this is something that you'll start working with right away. Does anybody have anything that they've already decided to work with? You can take something that's negative on your body compass, like -2, and you can bag it, barter it, or better it to get it to maybe neutral, or even like something that's -8. You can use the 3 Bs, and maybe you didn't get it to positive, but maybe it's a -5 now, or maybe it's a -3 now. And so it really is a really powerful, simple yet powerful tool to start just heading in the right direction for your life. So I would love it if anyone wanted to share anything that they have thought of as a way to bag, barter, or better. Does anybody want to share in the chats, or take yourself off mute and kind of give us an example of maybe something that you can do in your own life? One thing that I've done that's made a huge difference for me in terms of physical fitness is I still do like some kinds of exercise that I don't find that much fun, but I still do it. And there's a reason for that. But one thing that I've done is I've started to play tennis. So you can see I'm in my tennis gear. I just played this morning. In fact, I play with the PE teacher at my kid's school. And that has really helped me to be more active and fit physically, like in better conditioning. And I don't even know that I'm exercising. It's just been such a gift for me to find a way to move my body that feels really joyful and is really fun and kind of meets my need to be competitive. So that's been an incredible way to better my physical fitness, just off the top of my head. Trying to think, my bills are a -5. I choose to do those. I might just reward myself. I think of some way to reward myself after I do my bills. But that's also a mindset one. That's one where I need to remind myself of how important it is for me to have a positive relationship with money and to treat money as a friend, not treating money as something that I just want to be there for me, but I don't want to ever deal with it outside of that. So I have to remind myself mentally that when I do the bills, when I do the budget, when I'm looking at my money, then I'm creating a new positive relationship with money. And that really does better it for me. It makes me feel more motivated when I work with money. Okay, so S is saying, I have a work meeting that came in as a -6. But I realize since I'm sick, I'm less likely to be reactive to my director. And so the meeting is likely to be calmer and less confrontational. So it feels more like a -2 now. So that's a really great example of how you can better something in your mind and reframe things. And really what you did there too, S, is you did some downstream thinking. So back to our second demo in the series, you started to do some downstream thinking there. And that's really powerful. And then Estelle, I choose to do my post because I want it in my voice. So I will reward myself with a massage. Nice. Yeah. So those are great examples. So guys, unless there are any other shares or any questions, this is the final class in my demo series. I just want to thank you all for participating, and for those of you who are listening, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed it. I really loved it. And I want to remind you that there are other ways that you can continue with me. One is to hop onto my free class next week and check that out. And the second is that I am opening enrollment for my group program, which starts in the first week of November. It's on the 7th. And that'll be the first meeting, and it'll be a group program, a smaller group program. And I have space if you're interested in chatting more about that. All right, everyone. I really wish you the best, and I hope that you take these tools and incorporate them in your life. And please do stay in touch. If you haven't been able to check them all out, they're over at livebrazen.com. I'm trying to type this into the chat, .com /demos. So all of the content will be there for you to review. All right, everybody, take care. Thanks for being here. Stay in touch.